Good evening to everyone. So today we are going to read and comment the sutta from the Majjhima Nikaya. I will share with you the screen. All right, can you see it? All right.
Yep.
Well, it's Majjhima Nikaya number 63, the shorter discourse to Malunkyaputta. It's a very interesting sutta. There is two here in the Majjhima Nikaya, the larger one and this one. So this sutta talk about the 10 unanswered questions that the Buddha left without a clear answer because he thought that this question weren't useful or skillful to guide one to the Nibbana. So, thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Sawati in Jeta's Grove and at Apindika's Park. Then, while the Venerable Malunkyaputta was alone in meditation, the following thought arose in his mind. These speculative views has been left undeclared by the Blessed One, set aside and rejected by him. Namely, the world is eternal and the world is not eternal. The world is finite, the world is infinite. The soul is the same as the body, and the soul is one thing and the body another. And after death, a Tathagata exists, and after death, a Tathagata does not exist. And after death, a Tathagata both exists and does not exist. And after death, a Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist. The Blessed One does not declare this to me, and I do not approve of and accept the fact that he does not declare this to me. So I shall go to the Blessed One and ask him the meaning of this. If he declares to me either, and again repeat the 10 questions here, I will abandon the training and return to the low life. Then, when it was evening, the Venerable Malunkyaputta rose from meditation and went to the Blessed One. After paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and told him, "Here, Venerable Sir, while I was alone in meditation, the following thought arose in my mind. These speculative views has been left undeclared by the Blessed One. If he has not declared this to me, then I will abandon the training and return to the low life. If the Blessed One knows the world is eternal, let the Blessed One declare to me the world is eternal. If the Blessed One knows the world is not eternal, let the Blessed One declare to me the world is not eternal. If the Blessed One does not know either the world is eternal or the world is not eternal, then it is straightforward for one who does not know and does not see to say, I don't know, I don't see." And Malunkyaputta continues with his questions. So I'm going to first to read the answer of the Buddha, and then I will comment something about these 10 questions. How then, Malunkyaputta, did ever say to you, "Come, Malunkyaputta, let the holy life under me, and I will declare to you the world is eternal," or, and he mentioned the 9 question after death, a Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist. No, Venerable Sir, did you ever tell me I will lead the holy life under the Blessed One, and the Blessed One will declare to me the world is eternal? Or, again, I do not repeat all the question here. After death, a Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist. No, Venerable Sir. Then, that being so, misguided man, who are you and what are you abandoning? So when we hear this epithet, misguided man, is the worst insult that the Buddha could give a man, a person. I don't remember the word in Pali, but it's something like purisa, but I don't remember the first. It's like something like idiotic person. So uh, these 10 questions are were very usual in the ancient India. And after the Buddha's extinguishment, continued this kind of question. Even in the modern world, this kind of question could arise in the mind of a person. So the first of all, the first two are the world is eternal and the world is not eternal. What is the real question here? We're talking about here about the the view of the eternal soul or the view of the strict materialism. So it's to be or not to be. And these extreme views are fairly common in the people's mind. Why? Because it's very easy to conceptualize something that is very difficult to grasp. So if I want to somehow explain myself why I am suffering, it's very easy to me ask because I am a good person, I am a bad person, I am this, I am that. And this kind of conceptualization is very easy to the mind. It's very biological. We are trying to construct our world around concepts, around ideas, around opinions. So when I say I am that, I am constructing a concept that is fixed and without causes, without conditions. I am not that is again, if I am not that, I am a different thing. So the question here is the thing. Is when my mind reified everything that happened in my mind and in my life. If we continue, we are going to find the next. The word is finite or infinite. Infinite. It's again the same thing. If the third pair is the soul is the same as the body, or the soul is one thing and the body another. This also was a question, was a mystery that many spiritual traditions go after. And then are the four questions related to the Tathagata, if the Tathagata exists after death or not, or exist and not exist, or neither exists nor does not exist. All these dualities, and we can say that it's not only a duality, but a tetralemma. The tetralemma are the four possibly logics path that our mind could grasp. So regarding these four aspects, these four possibilities, Nibbana is beyond all logical or conceptual possibility. And here the Buddha is start to answer the question of Malunkyaputta, because all these speculations only bring more speculation. So the question here would be, okay, the world is eternal. Are you suffering less? Is your suffering diminished because you know that the world is eternal or the world is not eternal? So I am going to live forever. I am going to die and I'm just this body. This kind of point of view are generally very constricted and generally bring a lot of uh, tension in our mind. Why? Because if we think that the world is eternal, if I am eternal and I am a bad person, I'm going to be bad for the rest of my eternal life. This is just an example. So what is the cause and condition that this view arises in our mind? That we have the presumption that there is an I, a notion that there is an I, there is a me, and there is a myself. And we cannot see that there is causes and conditions at every moment that are continually changing. And because of this continuous change, it's very difficult to us to grasp a permanent solution to this I am that or I am not that. And we can see these things in our life. We can observe our reactions. For example, if my wife talk to me in a very bad manner, my reaction maybe is aversive. But maybe if my kid talk in a bad manner, maybe I'm more comprehensive because he is a kid. He is a child. So who of the two I am? The one who is related with my wife or the one who is related with my child? So depending upon the condition, uh, different reactions could arise in our minds. And here is when enter this very important aspect, that's the mindfulness. The remember to observe how mind's attention moves from one thing to another. I can observe how in my mind arise some reaction, and I can just let it go. And something happen in my mind when I do that. This work is the work that the meditator do in their meditation. He just observes. And because that is distraction, just observe what arises in the mind and just let it go, relax, smile, and return to the object of meditation. Because we take that perspective for a length of time, we feel more calm after practice meditation. It is the meditation itself? No, it's because we take that perspective of observe how arise and how ceases in the mind the phenomena. And this is very important because when I train that vision, when I train that point of view, one over time, our mind start to feel more and more detached from everything or from everything that arises in our mind, little by little. And we can experience this during the meditation. We start to feel more stability, more spaciousness, more openness. And finally, we start to feel very tranquil. And because of this tranquility, our mindfulness gets stronger. And this is a circle that nourish itself. The tranquility nourish the mindfulness nourish the tranquility. This is samatha and vipassana, and this is twin. So let's continue with the lecture, with the sutta. So here is the question of the Buddha. That being so, misguided man, who are you and what are you abandoning? If anyone should say this, I will not lead the holy life under the Blessed One until the Blessed One declares, to me, the world is eternal, or after death, a Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist. That would still remain undeclared by the Tathagata, and meanwhile that person would die. Suppose, Malunkyaputta, a man were wounded by an arrow thickly smeared with poison, and his friends and companions, his kinsmen and relatives, brought a surgeon to treat him. The man would say, I will not let the surgeon pull out this arrow until I know whether the man who wounded me was a noble or a Brahmin, or a merchant or a worker. And he would say, I will not let the surgeon pull out this arrow until I know the name and clan of the man who wounded me, until I know whether the man who wounded me was tall or short, or of a middle height, until I know whether the man who wounded me was a dark or brown or golden skinned, until I know whether the man who wounded me lives in such a village or town or city, until I know whether the bow that wounded me was a long bow or a crossbow, until I know whether the bowstring that wounded me was fiber or reed or sinew or hemp or bark, until I know whether the shaft that wounded me was wild or cultivated, until I know with what kind of feathers the shaft that wounded me was fitted, whether those of a vulture or a heron, or a hawk or a peacock or a stork, until I know with what kind of sinew the shaft that wounded me was bound, whether that of an ox or a buffalo, or a deer, or a monkey, until I know what kind of arrowhead it was that wounded me, whether spiked or razor, tipped or curved, or barbed, or calf-toothed, or lancet-shaped. All this would still not be known to that man, and meanwhile he would die. So to Malunkyaputta, if anyone should say this, I will not lead the holy life under the Blessed One until the Blessed One declares to me the world is eternal, or after death Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist, that would still remain undeclared by the Tathagata, and meanwhile the person would die. I find very educational that the the Buddha repeated all these possibilities for a person, because when we are wounded by our own reactions, aversion, sensual desire, sloth and torpor, anxiety, remorse, or doubt, especially doubt, we start to think about it. In our mind start the proliferation that have no control, and this proliferation about our bad feeling start to grow up in a way that is full of suffering. And this kind of question also could arise in a person who start to meditate, or maybe he just is an early meditator, in the sense of he start the meditation, he's a beginner, and maybe this person had a lot of doubt I don't know if my meditation go well. I don't know if this meditation would lead me to uh, a less suffering. So there is a lot of doubt when one starts a training like this. And this doubt generally bring more doubt. So I always say to my students this: when you in your meditation or even in your own life, you notice that in your mind arise doubt, generally the doubt is present in two ways. You have to do A or B. And we start to think about A is better than B or B is better than I. When you 6 hours, you have to 6 hours the doubt, the stem, not the branches. The branches are not important. The important thing is your state of mind, your mindset. How is your mind at that moment? You have to let it go, the doubt itself. It's not important the possibilities. What is important that your mind is not taken by doubt. That is the real problem here. Because if I make a decision with my mind full of doubt or remorse or aversion, I'm going to put that seed in my decision, and the result of that decision will share some characteristic of this doubt, anxiety, remorse, or whatever it might be. So how can I diminish this kind of proliferation? As soon as I see the doubt arises in my mind, I have to let it go, apply the 6 R's, right effort, and return to a state of mind that is more open, more pause, and eventually the mind by itself will enter in a deep tranquility. And this also will give the condition to sharp the mindfulness, because it's not the tranquility what liberates the mind. The tranquility doesn't free the mind, but give us the conditions to make our seeing more keen. And this is very important. What give deliverance to the mind is wisdom. And what is wisdom? See causes and conditions. And that is why I'm talking before. When I sit to meditate, what I am going to see is the arising and passing away of phenomena. If I take that perspective to see not only during the meditation, but in my daily life, I will start to feel more and more spaciousness, more equanimity. This is very important because equanimity is maybe the feeling, the more difficult feeling to understand and to live. And this will bring me more understanding and clarity. So, meanwhile, we are doubting of ourselves or doubting about the Dhamma, little by little, we are going to die. And this is what the simile want to transmit. So, Malunkyaputta, if there is a view the world is eternal, the holy life cannot be lived, and if there is the view the world is not eternal, the holy life cannot be lived. Where there is the view the world is eternal, or the view the world is not eternal, there is birth, there is aging, there is death, there is sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair, the destruction of which I prescribe here and now. And the Buddha continues in the next paragraph with the 10 questions. Entonces, whether there is the view after death, a Tathagata, both exist and does not exist, or the view after death, et tathagata, neither exists nor does not exist. There is birth, there is aging, there is death, there is sorrow. There are sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair, the destruction of which I prescribe here and now. What is saying here the Buddha? He is stating that this is the last link of the dependent origination. So it's not important to answer these questions, because even meanwhile we are trying to answer this question, we have birth and we have death or lamentation. So sorry, these are the two last links of the dependent origination. And here, if we are take a moment, we are going to see that there is birth, so there is aging, there is death, and there is sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and suffering. So here we can see that the Buddha is highlighting causes and conditions, because there is birth, there is aging, and there is death. So here he is just showing that causes and conditions are something that he declares in his first sermon. In Pali is Idapachayata. Idapachayata in Pali means specific conditionality. So because there are specific conditions, there are specific results. And this is why it's so important to understand this arising and passing away of the phenomena, of the feeling, of the thoughts, of body sensations and emotions, and etc. We can observe this phenomena in any of the five aggregates. Therefore, Malunkyaputta, remember that I have left undeclared as undeclared, and remember what I have declared as declared. And what have I left undeclared? The world is eternal, I have left undeclared. The world is not eternal, I have left undeclared. The world is finite, I have left undeclared. The world is infinite, I have left undeclared. The soul is the same as the body, I have left undeclared. The soul is one thing and the body another, I have left undeclared. After death, a Tathagata exists, I have left undeclared. After death, a Tathagata does not exist, I have left undeclared. After death, a Tathagata both exists and does not exist, I have left undeclared. After death, a Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist, I have left undeclared. So it's very important, this statement of the Buddha, because the Buddha doesn't care this thing regarding the training. In a different sutta, the Buddha declares that he knows many of these questions, but he thinks that these answers are not important regarding to the training to Nibbana. He used a simile. He said, Bhikkhus, can you see the forest? Yes, Venerable Sir. What I teach to you is only this tree. So he just choose what to teach and what not to teach. What he taught to us, it was an immense work that lived for 2,500 years and give us a lot of instructions and possibilities to train how to abandon suffering. So this is very important, and for the Buddha was his mission. And I feel very happy about it because we have his instructions we can practice right now. Why have I left that undeclared? Because it is unbeneficial, it does not belong to the fundamentals of the holy life, it does not lead to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. That is why I have left it undeclared. So it's very important here because this statement, because neither of these questions lead us to disenchantment or dispassion. So generally, when we start with this kind of speculations, our mind is trying to bite more and more. And we spend a lot of time chewing this information or chewing the mystery or chewing the possibility of what are afterlife, what's I will be eternal or not. So it's very important, this statement of the Buddha, because when he teaches, he shows a very different path. And here is the path. And what I declared? This is suffering. I have declared this is the origin of suffering. I have declared this is the cessation of suffering. I have declared this is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. I have declared. Why have I declared that? Because it is beneficial, it belongs to the fundamental of the holy life, it leads to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. That is why I have declared it. Therefore, Malunkyaputta, remember what I have left undeclared as undeclared, and remember what I have declared as declared. That is what the Blessed One said. The Venerable Malunkyaputta was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One words. So, in this last paragraph, the Buddha is just declare the Four Noble Truths. There is suffering, there is an origin, so there is a cause for suffering, there is the cessation of suffering, and there is a cause for the cessation of suffering, that is the Noble Eightfold Path. And I think that this Noble Eightfold Path is really something, because it's a scaffold not only for the meditation, specific for the meditation, there are the three last uh, steps: right effort, right mindfulness, and right collectedness. But for the life too, the three middle steps: right speech, right action, and right livelihood, are related to the precepts or our behavior in our daily life. And the first two, right view and right intention, are related to wisdom. So right view is that remember that because there is causes and conditions are certain effects or actions or fruits. There is this world and another world. There is a mother and father. So all these statements are have the aim to clarify this vision of causes and conditions and the fruits of these causes and conditions. And then is right intention that bring us a very important thing, that have the intention to be in responsibility of our actions, not be cruel, and not have ill will. So the Eightfold Path is something that is very practical, that not brings a lot of speculation. It set a bunch of instructions that are very precise, as if we follow this, we are going to find little by little, that our mind is more and more open and more free from suffering. Well, I stop share. The main aspect here in the sutta for me is pointed out that this kind of speculation are very common in the meditator, and that this also bring a lot of doubts and a lot of thoughts and mental activity that is not wholesome, and it's not also not only not wholesome and don't lead to nibbana, but also it's a very stressing thing, bring a lot of stress to the person, because lead the person to a situation that is far from the present, far from an open state of mind, and bring or some maybe obscure the real aspect of the practice. That is, we have to be mindful here and now, and for that we need a very open mindset. So, do you have question, Juan?
A small question. On the last thing you said on living under the Eightfold Path. Okay, so I try to live under the Eightfold Path every day. Sometimes I get like moved away, sometimes I'm on the path. But on the last thing you mentioned, like, I try not to be cruel. But some people think that my acting is cruel. So where am I failing? Like, I try to be on the path. I think I'm on the path, but someone else thinks I'm out of the path. Is it me thinking on what that other person is thinking of me? That's where I'm making the mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we talk about cruelty, especially with cruelty, cruelty is something like sometimes is not so clear for the person. We think that cruelty is, for example, we see a dog with a bad leg,
No, not that topic.
we
Yeah.
start to kick the dog. Oh, that's cruel. Yeah, that's cruel, of course, but by all means. But we here is talking about maybe some aspects of our mind that start to be cruel and we are not noticing. We don't recognize sometimes the cruelty. What is cruelty? Cruelty is when, for example, we have aversion in our mind, so we have ill will. Maybe the other person do something and I feel some little regret about it, or I am a little anger with that person or upset, and I start to talk with the other person with that mindset, and maybe I start to talk with that person. Not the problem, not in the words, but my intention is to, for example, put the other person in some situation that is not comfortable, or try to feel the other person unsafe or nervous, or that the other person feel guilt for something. And I know that my behavior is based on this regret and this remorse, and I am acting depending upon this mindset, and I know that this bring stress to the other person. that is cruelty. Sometimes it's very subtle, sometimes no. So, what is the antidote for cruelty? Compassion.
Mhm.
Compassion is a mind that is very open and understand. But when I said understand, is understand with the heart. That the other person maybe is anger, maybe is afraid, maybe is cruel. But I do not react in the same way. I could understand that she or he are talking with the mind full of hindrances, and I let it go, my reaction. Maybe I don't have a reaction, but if I have a reaction in my mind, I just let it go and bring my mind to the compassion, bring my mind to more open space. I take a pause, and in this pause, I can see the suffering of the other person. And because of that, I don't react. And because of that, when I speak or act, this will be very different. And probably the conflict will not escalate. Or maybe I don't speak, I don't act, I just remain in silence, or I take my way because it's not the moment, not the time, or not the place to do that. So I think that the important thing is we have to be aware of our reactions, because this reaction sometimes is very tiny. And I start to, maybe you can see this also in very friendly jokes.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have a friend and we start to make jokes about the other person, and in some moment this became cruel. It's with a smile, and but there is some kind of cruelty behind that. So sometimes cruelty is something really chameleonic, you know? Ill will or aversion or hunger are more visible, but cruelty is is more invisible because we don't want to recognize that we are capable of cruelty. Is that answer your question?
It did when you mentioned compassion. That helped. That helped.
So
Thank you.
it's not important what the other person thinks.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
important what you feel. And if you are aware of your own mindset and you
Mhm.
feel compassion, the,
True.
the outcome of that will share that merit, that seed.
Mhm. Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you have another question, or we are okay?
Okay.
All right. We share some merit.
Yes.
I give me a moment. No, here it is. All right. May suffering ones be suffering
once
free,
suffering
and
free,
struck fearless,
fearless be,
everything shed all grief,
shed all
all
grief,
beings
and let all
find
beings
relief.
find relief.
May all beings
All
share
beings
merit,
share this merit,
because thus
that
acquire
thus
the
acquire
acquisition of all
acquisition of all kinds of happiness.
May beings inhabiting
Beings
space and
inhabiting
earth,
space and earth,
Nagas,
those and
mighty
Nagas
power,
of my
share
power,
this hour.
share this merit of ours.
May the Lord protect the
Lord
good
protect this
dispensation.
dispensation.
Sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu, sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Juan.
Gracias.
Nos vemos.
Chao.
Mucho.